At the end of 1934, with a cover date of February 1935, New Fun Comics #1 came out. The creator, Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, decided that he didn't want to pay the fees that the newspapers were charging for their old comic strip reprints, so he got new comic material that wasn't being published in the newspapers. National Allied Publications Inc. published New Fun Comics in a large 10 by 15 inch tabloid size, which was closer to what the newspaper comic sections were at the time. The cover was full color and was made out of stiff cardboard. Inside, about half the book had color in it, but each strip was usually allowed one color only. This would be the first comic book series to have advertisements placed inside since the comic was selling on the newsstands. The strips inside were done by a mix of cartoonist veterans struggling during the Depression or young cartoonists trying to break into the business. In fact, some of the new comic material was made by Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson himself, who had been a noted publisher-writer for over a decade now. Some artists already had completed strips that the syndicates wouldn't take, and they were able to get some money for them by printing them here. Many were knockoffs of popular newspaper strips. Out of all the strips, only 2 had any lasting effect. Those were Wing Brady and Barry O'Neill. The series New Fun Comics would last 6 issues before the name would change to More Fun Comics. With issue 9, the format would change to a normal comic book size, which is still used today. Of those contributing strips to the issue would be Walt Kelly and Al Capp, who later go on to have great success in the comic strip field. With the help of superheroes eventually, the title would last 127 issues, getting cancelled in November 1947. There was a brief time after issue number 12, the book would start at #1 again with a volume 2. This would last for 5 years and then switch back to volume 1, returning with the original numbering with issue 18. This historic comic book would be the first comic ever published for the company that would eventually become DC Comics, the longest running publisher in comic book history. New Fun Comics #1 featured many various types of strips, including Jack Woods in a cover story by Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson. He also wrote a story called Sandra of the Secret Service with art by Charles Flanders. Oswald the Rabbit made his first comic book appearance in this issue. Oswald, originally a Disney creation and visually the immediate predecessor of Mickey Mouse, was at this point owned by Universal Pictures. As there never was an Oswald newspaper strip, these are not reprints. They also feature the black furred version of Oswald, not the then current white furred version. There are 4 different Oswald stories in issue #1 of New Fun. Wing and Slim scan the desert as the Foreign Legion Company camps featured the first appearance of Wing Brady in a short story, also written by Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, with art by Henry Kiefer. Ivanhoe was a 1-page story scripted by Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, with art by Charles Flanders, adapted from Sir Walter Scott's famous novel. And Jack Woods was a 2-page text story written by Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, under the alias of Roger Furlong, with art by Charles Flanders. Other numerous funny animal stories, war and western genre, and factual articles filled out issue #1. Frederick Whitney Ellsworth, born November 27, 1908, lived until September 7, 1980, was an American comic book editor and sometime writer and artist for DC Comics during the period known to historians as the Golden Age. He was also DC's movie studio contact, becoming both a producer and story editor on the TV series The Adventures of Superman. In the early 30s, after working on the syndicated feature Tilly the Toiler for King, he became associated with Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson's new company, National Allied Publications, later to become DC Comics. In 1945, he licensed The Fox and the Crow and other animated characters from the distributor Columbia Pictures. He also sketched rough cover layouts for DC's top titles, including most notably for Batman and Detective Comics until 1946. And Ellsworth was also the first writer on the Batman and Robin newspaper strip in 1966.
Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer, with 40 collectible categories and nearly 1 million online bidder members. Whether you're an experienced collector hunting for that elusive item or a novice considering the sale of a valuable family heirloom, put the expertise and market strength of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Visit us today at ha.com to find out for yourself why Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer.